All right, we got some very big odds and spreads to deal with here in this week 6 of the college football season. Lucky for all of us, though, we've got three of the best over at wagertalk.com going to walk us through not just three big game breakdowns, but they got three best bets for you, too, that we're going to concentrate on and see if there's maybe any value with some of these bigger spreads coming up this week. And we're going to shoot it over, of course, to Double R1L. Steve Merrill's going to kick us off in a early game this week, Wednesday. We'll be looking at Jacksonville State and Middle Tennessee. And talk to us here, Merrill, on this one. Oh, it's been a rough go for Middle Tennessee, but so is that schedule they've been playing. What are you going to do on this game on Wednesday night here?
Yeah, it might be a little surprising that this is the big game breakdown, but like you said, it's a Wednesday night game, Joe, and it's a nationally televised game on ESPNU. It's one of two standalone games Wednesday night, and I love how these smaller conferences, the MAC, Brian Leonard's MAC started this off decades ago with the Tuesday and Wednesday night action, and it's so smart. Why try to get lost in the shuffle of 40 or 50 big college football games on Saturday, ACC, SEC, Big 12, Pac 12, etc. So I love these standalone spotlight games. It always makes us dig a little bit deeper. And I think there's some value with this one on Wednesday night, but not from a side perspective, but from the total. And here's why. First of all, 51.5 always catches my attention. 51 is a very key number, probably about a 3 to 4% chance any football game is going to land exactly on 51 points. A lot of final scores get us there 31-20, 27-24, for example. And I do think there is a reason to play under 51.5 if it holds here. Both teams run the ball. Both teams struggle to throw the ball. In fact, Jacksonville State might be 4-1 on the season, but they're averaging just 5.9 yards per pass against a very weak schedule of opponents, and they still throw them for less than 6 yards per pass. Middle Tennessee's actually been decent against the pass this year against a tough schedule. A little bit below average against the run, but Jacksonville State's still a mediocre offensive side team, both running or passing. What Jacksonville State's been very good at so far this year is giving up just 15 points a game and just 4.3 yards per play. And that should come in handy, as you said, against a 1-4 Middle Tennessee State team that is 1-4 mainly because they are struggling offensively. Less than 19 points per game scored, just 5.3 yards per play. And once again, they cannot throw the ball. 6 yards per pass against teams that allow 7.6 on average. Neither offense can throw. Both defenses are solid. I look for a low scoring game here, and I'm surprised this total is as high as it is, 51.5 or more. I think there's some value with the under on Wednesday night.
All right, looking towards the under there, kicking it off on a Wednesday. And before we head to Teambu Pickens Stadium here, and I can begin to cry as Brian Leonard breaks down the Oklahoma State-Kansas State game. If you want more college football content, and nobody's got more of it than us here at Wager Talk TV, just go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button as well, and you will get notified and get all of the great college football content we have available, including Kansas State traveling to Stillwater to take on Oklahoma State. And it's been a rough season thus far for my Cowboys there, Brian, but maybe better. No, who we kidding? The better days are not coming ahead here. How are you looking at this game against the Wildcats?
Yeah, the Wildcats have been very good since Chris Kleiman took over in Manhattan. Now 33-21 straight up in 5 years. They're 4-2 in the role as road favorite, but they did fall at Missouri in their only road game this season. I did have Missouri in that game, and that was a game that could have gone either way. The Tigers kicker kicked up, I believe it was a 60-some yarder. It was a really good game, and Missouri gets that victory. But Kansas State has cashed 5-7 in Stillwater. But the last two times they came here, they were 5.5 and 5-point underdogs. That's not quite the same line as we're seeing in this one here. As you mentioned, Oklahoma State has struggled to get out of the season. The Wildcats have played a pretty solid schedule of FBS teams, games against Troy, Missouri, and Central Florida. The running game has been especially strong overall, gaining 5.19 yards per carry and allowing 2.53. So Kansas State's doing what they do. They control the line of scrimmage, they run on the opposition, and they stop the run. Oklahoma State, a little bit different here, is they have circled this game. At least you assume they have circled this game because they did lose last year 48-0. And that's something when you get shut out, you normally point to that game the following year. And they are coming off a bye, similar to Kansas State. So I really expect Oklahoma State to be fully prepared here. But As you mentioned, Joe, this isn't the same Cowboy squad that we've gotten used to. The team has had winning seasons for over a decade. In fact, Mike Gundy he may no longer be 40,
Hmm.
but he does have a very impressive 151-71 record. Not only has the team underperformed, it's done so against a very weak schedule. Central Arkansas, Arizona State, South Alabama, and Iowa State. This is the problem we have when we have these weekday games, that you try to have an opinion, and sometimes you have the opinion, you just don't have the line for it. And that's what I'm running into here, is the market is right now priced me out of this game. So I'm looking, if this game drops to 10, I'll play Kansas State. We're setting it 11 and a half here. I don't expect that to happen. There won't be a rush of money coming in on Oklahoma State, although I do believe they played a little bit better lately than they had earlier. So like Kansas State here, but I don't want to lay more than 10 on the road in an area where, like I said, the last two times they played this team, they were 5 and 5.5 point underdogs. So just give me an opinion right now on Kansas State.
Funny, I got a phone call from a friend of mine just yesterday. He goes, "All right, so who's playing quarterback this week for Oklahoma State?" I said, "Everybody," because that's exactly what's going to happen here. Again, if you have QB next to your name, expect them to take a few snaps at some point in this game, since they can't figure it out. Been a rough season there for Oklahoma State. But not so bad for Maryland here, as they're going to be taking on Ohio State. And we're going to learn a little something about this Maryland team here. Jimmy Adams going to Columbus to take on Ohio State. I don't. Are you buying Maryland here? Is this a real team, or is this just going to be there's levels to this, and you're not Ohio State?
Well, so this line was knocked down 2 points right off the opener. We've seen some initial buyback, but I agree with the original move. Maryland's tied for 15th in the nation in scoring offense. And don't overlook that 44-17 win over Indiana. That's a Hoosiers team that has played solid defense this season. They're underrated on that side of the ball, and they held Ohio State to just 23 points earlier in the year. Every game is an NFL audition for Talia Tagovailoa, and he's been elite through 5 games. He leads the Big Ten in passing yards and passing TDs, and he's not afraid to throw the ball downfield. Now, the Terps have historically struggled when asked to step up in class, and I fully understand that. But this will be a great test for a defense that has put up really good numbers this far, 11th in the nation in scoring defense to be exact. But they've yet to face an offense like Ohio State, so a big test here. There's no doubt the Buckeyes are going to be able to score, but can we trust them laying nearly 3 touchdowns against a Terp offense that's put up at least 31 points in every single game this season? They're averaging 38.6. Look, you can only play who's on your schedule, and Maryland's done very well thus far. And then there's the possible letdown spot after the game against Notre Dame that, let's face it, they should have lost. Notre Dame had, at least 5 interception opportunities. They get just one of them, that game's over. So possibly a little bit of a letdown, but more so that I'm buying this Maryland offense. The Terps are going to put up enough points to stay within this number. Give me Maryland for today's
All right,
big game
looking at
breakdown.
Maryland. I love it. It's amazing. To his brother, right, leading all sorts of MVP talk with the Miami Dolphins, and literally nobody knows he has a brother that plays in college football. I think it's absolutely crazy here, and he's pretty damn good. So we'll see if he can step up in class against Ohio State this weekend. Those are 3 big games we've got coming up. We do have 3 best bets from these guys, and we'll go around the horn. Just want to remind you, though, if you happen to have any questions about these games or any games on the Week 6 roster here, go ahead and drop them in the comment section. Steve Merrill, Brian Leonard, Jimmy Adams, they'll be monitoring the comment section all week long leading up to kickoff. So if you've got any questions for these guys, absolutely drop them in the comment section, and they will get them answered for you as we come back full circle to Double R1L Steve Merrill, who no doubt is going to have a great opportunity for you to partner up with him as he gets ready to break down a Saturday matchup in the SEC. I don't know if everyone still loves Vanderbilt like they did in the beginning of the season here, but they are taking on a Florida team licking their wounds here, Merrill. So tell us what you got here.
Yeah, first of all, Vanderbilt, Florida. If you've blindly played against these two teams this season, you've gone 10-1 against the spread. 10-1 against the spread. And that's because Vandy's 0-6 against the number, and they've lost four in a row. They're 2-4 straight up, four losses in a row straight up. And by the way, Florida might be 3-2 straight up, but they're 1-4 against the number. The only cover was that outright underdog win against Tennessee at home a few weeks ago. On the surface, you'd say it's a bad loss at Kentucky last week, but I actually previewed that game in my top 25 video. There were three head-to-head top 25 matchups last Saturday, and I did a fourth bonus game that was just a bit outside because I mentioned Kentucky was 27th in both polls, and if they would win, as I thought they would, as a slight favorite, they would be ranked, and that's exactly what happened. Kentucky's now 20th. Florida, of course, falls out after being ranked 22nd. They're not even in the top 37 in the AP poll, no votes at all. And there's 43 teams getting votes in coaches poll, and they got one vote. So they're 42nd, 43rd, depending on how you look at it overall. So I think they have a chip on their shoulder because of that. And they also are not going to overlook Vanderbilt after what happened last season. Many of you might not recall Florida was 4-4, beat Texas A&M, beat South Carolina, sitting at 6-4, feeling pretty good about things. They go to Vanderbilt late in the season last year as a 2-touchdown road favorite, and they lose outright 31-24. But it was a misleading loss. They had over a 160-yard advantage, total rushing and passing yards. They outgained Vandy 7 yards per play to 4.6. They should not have lost that game. A very misleading result. So they've got a legitimate revenge motive in a focused spot here. And that's quite simply my favorite handicapping technique in sports is the better team in a focused spot. So the question becomes, can Vanderbilt maybe get that dreaded backdoor cover? Well, they haven't yet this season. They're 0-6 against the spread. And more importantly, after playing a bad Hawaii and Alabama A&M teams, they've gone 0-4 straight up the last four games against decent competition, and they've lost by 16 or more in three of those four games. And this is a Vanderbilt team that's very mediocre offensively, below average defensively. Florida controls the edge on both sides of the ball, and that Florida has an explosive passing attack at times, which I think enables them to win this by 3 touchdowns or more. Good focused revenge spot for the better team. Florida Gators minus the 18-18.5 goes at 4:00 Eastern on Saturday afternoon. Don't forget, a ton of solo NFL and college football video previews are available right now on the channel. I'll have my college football top 25 NFL Fade the Public videos later this week. So check out Wager Talk TV, hit like, hit subscribe as always, and check out my page for 7 days of best bets for just $79 with promo code Steve7, Steve Merrill, wagertalk.com.
All right, great stuff there, Steve. And Bri, interesting game you have for a best bet, too. This is one of those big spreads with Wisconsin laying 2 touchdowns, taking on Rutgers. Maybe not the greatest offensive team in the country, but certainly Shiano has got those guys playing some defense. So what gives in this game with in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I think Rutgers has gone under a lot of radars right now. I haven't heard any mentions of them as such an improved team, but I like the way this team has played. They got a nice start to the season, 4-1 mark with the only loss to number 2 Michigan. That's pretty impressive. Keep in mind, this program hasn't posted a winning season since 2014. So that may be why not too many people are getting excited about this Rutgers squad. But while the victories haven't been against top class opposition, the winning margins have been impressive. 17, 29, 19, and 49-point win margins in their 4 victories so far this season. And they may have this game circled a little bit. As the last time they played was in 2021. The Badgers crushed them 52-3. So I think this is a game that is a really show-me game for Rutgers. And I think they're going to be a lot closer than what this the lines makers have made here with the betting public. Wisconsin's 3-1, lone loss coming at number 13 Washington State. I had the Cougars in that game, as Big Ten teams have long struggled when they play on the West Coast. We see that one of the reasons why it doesn't happen very often. Even the SEC teams have struggled going west. So keep that in mind. It's very tough for these Eastern teams to play when they play on the West Coast. They don't make that trip very often. Usually like 1 out of every 3 or 4 years, one of these teams will go out their way, and they always seem to struggle. The Badgers had last week off, and they've only had they only have Illinois and Iowa up the next 2 weeks. So I would expect a really good effort here out of Wisconsin. Luke Fickell is a great coach, and his team is going to be ready. But that said, I only made this line 11 in this game, so the value is on the side of the much improved Scarlet Knights. We're still able to catch 14s out there. I believe I saw 14.5 last night. So I think this line is going to go down a little bit. Rutgers is a team that I'm looking to bet on. Wisconsin somewhat looking to fade, and in this price range, I think there's a bargain price here with the Scarlet Knights.
All right, liking Rutgers to stay within the number, get it done there in Wisconsin. We do have one more best bet coming your way. Quick reminder, though, if you like college football content and you're looking for previews as well as some best bets, we've got them for you all week long here. Just hit that subscribe button on Wager Talk TV here on YouTube. All right, Jimmy Adams, final game, final best bet for you. And I love that. I've been to this Red River Shootout here on quite a number of times, and it's always been a very interesting game. It's been all Texas lately, taking on OU here. 6, I think, is the number we're looking at. That's what Texas will be laying, and boy, they really smacked them down a year ago here. A little revenge on OU's mind. What are you looking at here?
I think we do have a little revenge on the way. Yeah, the annual Red River rivalry has a little more juice to it this year, right? With both teams entering at 5-0. It's pretty clear the Sooners are the team with more to prove, as Texas has established themselves as one of the top teams in the nation. They might be the best team in the country. But Oklahoma certainly looked the part, ranking second in all of college football in points per game when looking at teams only involving FBS schools. And the reason I do that is to try and eliminate some stats that might be misleading with these teams playing lesser foes and so forth in the early going. But they're also putting up 510 yards per contest. Dylan Gabriel will be able to put points on the board, even against a Texas defense that we know is top notch. He already has nearly 1,600 yards with 15 TDs and just 2 picks. I understand that was against lower competition, but I expect him to continue to produce here. But the real story to me is an Oklahoma defense, which is only giving up 10.8 points per game thus far. That's the side of the ball that's improved this season. That's the difference. And Brent Venables, we all know he's a defensive-minded coach, so he should have this defense improved, at least in the early going. All indications are that they are. And I also understand this is a big step up in class. Texas might be the best team in college football, like I mentioned, but I have confidence in the Sooners. This is a game that should be close late, especially on a neutral field. We're getting nearly a touchdown. I want Oklahoma in my pocket. Give me the Sooners for today's best bet.
All right, looking for the Sooners to exact a little revenge there, getting the points. And there you got it. 3 big game breakdowns, 3 best bets. But don't go anywhere. We're not done breaking games down for you. Just click on that video that's on your screen right now. You'll be taken to all the rest of the top 25 games coming up in college football week 6. And don't forget, we'll be back again tomorrow with another edition of the College Football Kickoff Show. Best of luck with all your plays. We'll talk to you again soon.